So the Accord has basically three key programs: inspections and remediation, whereby we inspect all of the suppliers that are producing for the Accord signatory brands on fire, electrical, structural, and boiler safety. We have a safety committee training program whereby we train the labor management safety committees in the factories to be effectively monitoring safety on an ongoing basis in each and every factory. And we have an OSH complaints mechanism where workers can raise complaints related to safety in a transparent and trusted manner. So these three key programs are the key programs of the Accord. And as I said, since June 2020, these programs are being implemented by the RMG Sustainability Council in Bangladesh. The International Accord Secretariat still works very closely with the RSC, in particular in monitoring the signatory obligations and the signatory commitments that the brands have made by signing the Accord. At the end of the three-year agreement that was reached in 2018, there were further discussions between the brands and the unions, which resulted in the creation of the International Accord. So in September 2021, the Bangladesh Accord was renamed to International Accord on Health and Safety in the Textile and Garment Industry. And the reason why it's now called International and not just Bangladesh Accord was, of course, because it included the commitment to look to explore expansion to other countries based on feasibility studies. So the Accord did a feasibility study on a number of countries over the last year, looking at the presence and interest of the brands, the extent to which there are safety issues that can be further improved, the interest of local stakeholders, and the financial feasibility. And all of that made us conclude that we first focused on 4 countries, Pakistan, India, Sri Lanka, and Morocco. And after further in-depth and in-country stakeholder consultations, it was concluded that Pakistan would be the most logical and appropriate first country to expand to. So after further discussions between the brands and the unions, which took place at the end of November, in mid-December, the Accord Steering Committee agreed on the establishment of the Pakistan Accord for Health and Safety in the Textile and Garment Industry, which is a separate agreement that brands are invited to sign, brands that are sourcing from Pakistan or that are planning to source from Pakistan are invited to sign this agreement. We are happy to announce that by now more than 30 of the Accord brands have already signed the Pakistan Accord, including all of the Accord Steering Committee members, which includes H&M, PVH, who are also here today as speakers, CNA, Otto Group, and Inditex. So these brands have signed, but also other major brands have now signed, and we receive signed agreements of the Pakistan Accord on a daily basis still. So we're hopeful that all of the brands that are sourcing from Pakistan are going to join us in this effort. The next steps after announcing the agreement between the brands and the unions to establish a program in Pakistan are for us to really engage very closely with the local stakeholders in Pakistan, because we want to roll this out together with the stakeholders, together with the industry, together with the suppliers, the industry associations, together with the local trade union affiliates of the industrial and other key stakeholders, including the government of Pakistan, the provincial governments, as well as the federal government. So we are working hard to set up a legal entity and registration in Pakistan so that we really can have an office there, and then to develop a local governance body whereby the local stakeholders are very much involved. The key principles of the Accord will be maintained, but what we really want to discuss with the local stakeholders is the implementation. How can we best implement the Accord in Pakistan in such a way that it works for everyone and that it benefits everyone? We honestly feel that the Pakistan Accord can bring a lot of benefits to the industry and to the workers in the industry. In particular, we've seen in Bangladesh that over the last 9 years that the Accord started in 2013, Bangladesh has grown exponentially, more than 80% as the industry has grown. And in part, that is also because of the safety improvements that were made and the assurances that the brands thereby had to continue sourcing and even increase their sourcing from Bangladesh. And we really think that we can give those benefits to Pakistan as well. So with that introduction, I want to turn to the panelists. As I said, we have representatives from all the different stakeholders, the trade unions, the brands, and from suppliers from both Bangladesh and from Pakistan. So I would like to start with our two representatives from our steering committee, starting with Mazarat Kader, who is the Public Affairs and Stakeholder Engagement Manager at the H&M Group and a member of the International Accord Steering Committee. And she's also a board member of the RMG Sustainability Council in Bangladesh. Mazarat, we would like to hear from you from your perspective as a key brand, having been involved in the Accord for many years, having been not just you personally, but also other representatives of H&M having been part of the steering committee. What do you see as key positive contributions of the Accord to the Bangladeshi garment and textile industry? And then secondly, what do you think is key to a successful implementation of the Accord in Pakistan? Mazarat, over to you.
Thanks, Joris. And I think you've captured a lot of it in the introduction that you gave already, which was very comprehensive. But I think the key thing is that 10 years on from Rana Plaza, Bangladesh has an incredibly safe garment sector. The Accord has, as Joris already mentioned, done assessments, inspections, building, fire, electrical, boiler of more than 1,200 factories within the Accord world, but then complemented by that were also other initiatives. So I think overall, the sector is safer than it's ever been before. And we see that in the reduced number of accidents. We see that in the reduced number of workers getting hurt. In terms of the benefits, it's been multifold. First and most important, our workers in our supply chain are much safer, and that's fundamental to all of us being responsible and having responsible businesses. But in addition to that, as Joris mentioned, there have been really important benefits from a reputational perspective, from a compliance perspective, and from a competitiveness perspective. Bangladesh is now an incredibly safe sourcing market for brands. So that cannot be understated, that this correlation that we have between safety, worker benefits, and then competitiveness, all of those being very intertwined. I think we also feel that we are very prepared for the new regulations that are happening in Europe now, in Bangladesh, because of the level of rigor with which everything has been assessed and checked. So that compliance piece also can't be underrated, particularly given the changes we're expecting in Europe in the next 2 to 3 years. The second piece that I really want to emphasize in Bangladesh is really the transition to this tripartite approach. Christina and I have commented on this before, but I think this is one of the only places where we see in such a systematic and rigorous and effective way, not just brands and unions, but also the local stakeholders, the local industry, as well as the local unions, playing a very equal and committed role in making the industry better together. So that transition that was made 2 years ago to having the industry as part of the RMG Sustainability Council, driving agendas, taking things forward, that's really been a huge success as well. And that's important in terms of the long-term sustainability of it, right? You can't have international brands and unions driving agendas in a country and expect that to be sustainable or scalable. So we see with this transition that's been a really important part of the success in Bangladesh as well. Of course, there are challenges. Of course, there are this is not the most natural of partnerships. But with that comes maturity, with that comes trust, with that comes a way of working together that we don't see, that ultimately has a lot of results. Just to flip to the second part of your question around Pakistan and how, what are the keys to success in Pakistan? I think first and foremost, Pakistan is a completely different context. So thank goodness you haven't had a Rana Plaza kind of situation there. Thank goodness the fundamentals are different. The way the industry has grown is different. And so finding a customized approach to work in Pakistan will be really, really important. And it took us about 8 years to bring the industry and the government to the table in Bangladesh. We can't do that in Pakistan. So one of the key things that all of us have been emphasizing in Pakistan is how do you bring the industry, how do you bring the government, how do you bring our suppliers on board right from the start? I think one of the challenges that we perceive in Pakistan is that our role as European brands is very different than it was in Bangladesh. Where in Bangladesh, the Accord brands represent about, anywhere between 40 to 50% of Bangladesh's business. In Pakistan, it's 20% or less than 20%. So this is a call out to brands, not just traditionally Accord brands. It's also a call out to the non-Accord brands. You don't have the alliance in Pakistan. You don't have the government, doing the initiatives that the government had. So we need American brands, we need other brands at a large scale to be part of this. And this is really an opportunity for them to join an initiative that has been successful in Bangladesh. So brands getting involved, brands speaking to their suppliers, finding a way to kind of get the industry engaged and interested and benefiting from participating in the Pakistan Accord is really important. Also, I think the maturity with which these conversations and these negotiations need to happen, it has obviously taken a lot of time, but we need to kind of put that on speed, try and fast forward that a little bit. Pakistan doesn't generally have the same stakeholder environment that we had in Bangladesh. And so I think, for example, industrial has a really important role to play in building the capacity of the local affiliates so that they're actually able to engage in a constructive and positive way in these discussions and these negotiations. The industry getting involved right from the start is really, really important. So there are definitely going to be challenges. But by working together and finding a way forward, I think we have to be realistic. We have to take it kind of at the pace that it needs to evolve in. It's better to go slow, but build something sustainable and scalable. And we really need to focus our energy and efforts into making this happen. Joris, that's it for me as my initial remarks. And over to you, Tina, I think.
Thanks very much, Mazarat, and it's very good and helpful to get a brand's perspective. And of course, as I introduced, the Accord is a bipartite, legally binding agreement, and now also with the RSC in Bangladesh, a tripartite organization, including the manufacturers. So we're very happy to have these perspectives here on the panel. So with that, I would like to ask the same question to Christina. From your perspective as a trade union representative, what do you see as the positive contributions that the Accord has made in Bangladesh? And how would you translate those experiences to successful implementation of the Pakistan Accord? Over to you.
So I can only echo what Mazarat has outlined as some of the key successes in Bangladesh. So I think I will also kind of give my remarks about how the Bangladesh Accord and now the International Accord has put workers and industrial relations at the center of any initiative. I think this is a real important component of the Accord's work and the work between the global unions and the brands. I think another really important success that came out of Bangladesh was around transparency. So if we have an enhanced transparency mechanism in the accord. And you can see that from 2013 till now, many more global brands and retailers are publicly publishing their supplier lists, open about their auditing and their findings and remediation. So I think that's a real testament to the work that began in Bangladesh to really move the sector to a higher level of transparency. I would say if you look globally at all the other different sectors, we are one of the most transparent sector. And I think that really comes from the work that started in Bangladesh. I think the other really important part for trade unions has been this joint work that we've done together. So as I said earlier, it's very important that workers and trade unions are at the center of these initiatives. These are programs for health and safety. So these are the workers in the brand supply chain. So I think that's been a real positive. We have international and national trade union presence in the decision-making and governance. So this again is one of the key benefits, I would say, that happened around the accord in Bangladesh. I think also it's really important to understand that brands made a commitment to ensure financially that the program would be feasible. So they are contributing funds to the running of the agreement. But in addition, they are also working to ensure that suppliers are able to remediate the factories. So that commitment to being financially feasible, I think that's really important. And we've had many successes in Bangladesh around that. And then finally, I think one of the major successes for Bangladesh has been the dispute resolution mechanism for workers. And this is really key for trade unions to be able to bring forth disputes that might have health and safety violations as a way to be active in their own safety, right? You need to ensure that workers have a way to ensure their own safety at work. So the training and the complaints mechanism, the development of high functioning OSH committees has been a real important step forward in health and safety for workers in Bangladesh. If we look at Pakistan, I mean, I totally agree with Mazarat. We need to do this jointly. I think we have really set forward at the work in Bangladesh. We have a very good model where there's been a joint approach. And I think I can only emphasize the importance of having a joint approach. I think the work that we've, even I just went on the mission to Pakistan in January, and it was a pleasure to meet with the government and with suppliers and industry representatives to begin this important discussion around how to implement the agreement. So I'm going to turn it over back to you, Joris. I think we have a lot of other speakers who can, from Bangladesh, who might be able to add to those comments. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Christina. And I think the different perspectives that you and Mazarat have introduced here are a testimony to the work that we're doing at the Accord, whereby we really are a joint initiative where brands and unions work together with their suppliers to implement the Accord program. And you can hear, as the audience, you can hear that the brands and unions do share a lot of the views, but also come into the Accord with their own interests and their own perspectives. And that's why it is important to bring those perspectives together. So now we would like to turn to a very, very key stakeholder in this discussion, which are the suppliers, because of course it's the suppliers that are implementing and doing the remediation work. So first, we would like to go to Usman Rashid, who's the business unit head at Taiga Apparel from Pakistan. We, of course, won't be asking you the question about the experience in Bangladesh, but we would like to ask you, what do you see and knowing now, having had some experience and exposure to the Accord already through your participation in the pilot study that we did, and having heard about the Accord, what do you see could be the added value of an Accord in Pakistan, and what would you see are key elements for us to consider to make sure it is a successful implementation? Over to you, Mr. Usman. You're on mute, so please unmute. Thank you.
Thank you, Joris. Good afternoon, everybody. First, I would like to introduce myself and my company. My name is Usman Rashid, and I'm working as a business unit head at Tega Apparel. Just to give you a brief background of the company, Tega Apparel is a denim manufacturing company, and I really feel proud to share that Tega Apparel is the first LEED Platinum certified denim manufacturer in Pakistan. 40% of our electrical energy comes from sustainable resources, and we have a vision to enhance this to 60% by end of this year. To share our vision, we want to be a leader in most sustainable, ethical, and compliant company in Pakistan. And the balance which we want to make is about people, planet, and profit. So that's the baseline which we are following. And we really feel good that we are ahead of the curve on the renewable side. Before moving to answer the questions, I would like to give you some background about Pakistan and the textile sector. Would like to share few numbers so that we can understand more about Pakistan and the importance of Accord for Pakistan. Pakistan is among the top 5 producers of cotton in the world, and with a forecast of about like 6.2 million bales. If we talk about the agriculture, it constitutes the largest sector of our economy, and it contributes about like 24% of our GDP. The textile exports are around like 20 billion, which is around like 60% of all our exports. Now, if we talk about the population, we have like 230 million people, and 60% of the people are below the age of 30 years. So about 40% of our manufacturing labor is associated with the textile industry. The objective of sharing these figures of Pakistan was just to highlight the potential of textile industry in Pakistan. Being the cotton producer and abundant workforce, I believe there is a huge potential for textile and for the buyers for Pakistan. Now, coming back to the question which Joris, you asked, that how Accord shall help textile and garment industry in Pakistan, I believe there are 3 important benefits out of many. The biggest benefit is Accord would help minimize and mitigate the risk of fire, building collapse, or any other accidents for millions of people and thousands of factories. So I believe the workers will feel more safe in terms of fire or any accident. So in my opinion, the biggest benefit is that we would be benefiting the life of the workers. So that is the biggest benefit, I would say. Other than that, what I believe that any fire or building collapse or accidents is always a cost to factories. If we talk about as a supplier, this is a kind of a hidden cost, which we never know, which we don't focus. And if any accidents happen, and in terms of that results in the term of loss of business or a downtime, which is a hidden cost. So this is another benefit for the manufacturers, that they can save themselves from this kind of unforeseen and unpredictable loss. So we can save the loss of the humans or the workers, and we can save the financial loss also. The third benefit, which I would like to highlight, is that by conducting these audits or improving the fire and safety, I think the Pakistan industry can improve the perception and then improve the working environment. And that would definitely help the brands and the buyers to focus and to increase the business, and we can have a better pie of the business within Pakistan. So having said that, I think there would be a number of benefits, but in my opinion, these are the three key benefits which Pakistan can achieve through the Accord International Program. Now, coming back to the second question, that what challenges the implementation of Accord in Pakistan? In my opinion, the first challenge would be the capital expense required to fill the fire and safety or building integrity gaps. That would be the foremost challenge for the suppliers and the factories. And factories would be needing good amount of funds to which would be required to improve the standards or to conduct trainings into safety. So for that, I recommend there should be some sort of monetary support to factories in terms of advance payments or in terms of giving confirmation on the bookings or even some funding. So that can really help to overcome this, Other challenge, I believe, is the mindset or the culture, because in safety, other than the safety equipment, the most important factor, in my opinion, is the mindset. When I say it's a challenge, that is because a lot of man hours are required to change the mindset in terms of training. So although it's not a big challenge, but as I said, because of the man hours required, a lot of time is required to change the mindset of the workers and the people around who can make a difference. Well, yeah. In my experience, I have seen that many fire incidents happen or accidents happen just because of small negligence of the worker. So the training is an important factor in this. Even in developing countries, if we compare the garment and the textile industry versus some high-risk sectors like chemical, oil and gas, or fertilizer, which are a higher riskier sector, but we see very less accidents happening in those sectors as compared to the garment industry. So I believe that is mainly because of lack or less education and less trainings, which are in garments and textile sector. So having said that, my overall suggestion for a successful implementation of Accord in Pakistan would be that the audits, the result of Accord safety audit for factories should not be like a fail or pass result. The factories should be rated as good, excellent, or average. And we can give them marks like 60, 70, or 80% because safety is an ongoing process. So rather than just halting the business, we should organize it in a way that the factories do keep on doing their business and at the same time they improve the health and safety. So that's my opinion on the second part. And in the end, I would like to thank you for giving us the opportunity to address on such an important agenda. And because this is linked with the safety and lives of thousands of people and the worker. And we as Tagga Apparel are really excited and committed to work with the International Accord team to identify the gaps. We have been part of the pilot project, and we really look forward to make our factory more safe and to make this world more safe. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Usman. And that was very, very interesting to hear your thoughts and suggestions on how best to roll out the program in Pakistan, and your suggestions on the components of what is needed in terms of training. We will definitely be reviewing and adapting our training materials to take that into account. This is all in preparation, so by the time we will be rolling out the training program, we will have taken all these perspectives and suggestions into account in making sure that the training component is comprehensive and addresses these points. On your point about the accord inspections not needing to be pass or fail, I'm happy to share with you that that is indeed not the case, because what we do is we, after the initial inspections, we develop a corrective action plan, and then through periodic follow-up inspections, we verify the implementation of the corrective action plan. So after each follow-up inspection, it's not a pass or fail, but we update the corrective action plan accordingly, and then the more CAP items, corrective action plan items that are being remediated, the higher the progress rate percentage of your factory will be. So that is an opportunity to show that the progress you are making, and that indeed, as you are saying, it is a continuous improvement process of safety. So it always needs to be further monitored, and there's always room for further improvement. So happy to share that that's also the approach that we are taking. So thanks again for participating, and of course also thank you very much for participating in the pilot that we did back at the end of last year. So now I would like to turn to another speaker, Mr. Mohammed Sohel from Bangla Poshak, who is the managing director of this supplier in Bangladesh. We have worked extensively with you, and we would like to hear from you as a key supplier in Bangladesh. What is your experience in terms of working with the Accord? What kind of positive contributions have you seen of the Accord's work in Bangladesh? And from your perspective, what would you give to us as recommendations for a successful implementation of the program in Pakistan? Mr. Mohammed, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joris. Firstly, I want to introduce myself. I'm Mohammed Sohel, Managing Director of Bangla Poshak Limited. I also, before my experience, I agree with Masharat Kader and Christina Hages. They are telling about the success of Bangladesh. But here I want to tell about my journey. Because I'm a small company, I'm not a big company. In perspective of Bangladesh manufacturer, there are lots of big manufacturers. In Bangladesh, according to Bangladesh law, I am a small factory. My export in that time, it was in below 5 million. And now, after Accord completion, my export is going to be around near 10 million. So it's just my business will go double. With a challenge, there is many. I'm not telling about at this moment challenge. Firstly, when Accord signed in 2013 with Bangladesh, immediately one of my customer lead vendor, TBM Europe, he informed me. And I was in that time in their office when Rana Plaza is collapsed in 2013. So even that we share all of our things in that time in German office. And when I come back after that Accord formations and the sign, and then that brand informed me, so this is going to happen. I immediately from my side, I'm going with you and going with Accord. So in success of Bangladesh, that is mindset and attitude. From the supplier side, owner side, firstly, if that is with us, then you can very positively, you can move forward. And there is lots of challenges, but I started, my first inspection was 14. Accord was this time in Accord Bangladesh's first time doing this type of things. So there is some irregularities, so many things as there, but still we are continuing. And after getting, I passed my hydran in November 2022. So my journey almost from 14 to 22, and my structure was really too bad. I don't know. When we got the survey, it was too bad. It was very risky. Even we can see that Turkey also now. So it's the life-saving things. So we immediately work on that part with the help of Accord. Actually, we got some teacher, what I can say. Sometimes student needs teacher. So what I can say I got from Accord, that things, the guideline, the things. And as a student, I have attitude to cover up the things. So that's why we are got it at the end of the day. And in the platform of Accord, now what is the benefit? It's all the customers with the same platform. Before that, customer asking, different customer is asking in different way. There are some, so that is now closed. We had a same platform, and but the training, my worker attitude, mind setup, there now we are a family basically. That is the main benefit I can say. We can protect everything with the cooperation of our family. Now we have our own inspection team, own worker safety team. So they are now every day working on that part. Even Mr. Usman Saab was telling regarding the negligence of the things of the fire, but that cannot be now in not our factory because of the people know who are working. They are clearing the the dust of the where the electricity can the short circuit, all these things is happening. And benefit, I cannot say in one word. It's the big history of benefit of with alliance with the Accords. Everybody knows we are the safest country at this moment, and the business also coming in that way. I can say I make my business in double, and I have to broken one of my floor of the building, and I keep my production running, and I don't lose anything. And it's a hurdle, it's a challenge. But if you change your people mindset and safety and workers all together, you can comply, and there's a big benefit. This is one part. Another one part to challenge of there is a lots of challenge, I can say like this. From my side, the engineer, what start the audit, he must keep continue, because we face some challenges like this. One auditor is come giving me one type of cap, another auditor come is his change are not these things, you need another things. So it's a wastage of money and timing also. So my suggestion in Pakistan, you should keep the audit who survey first. He try to accumulate all the big issues. A small issue can be continue in follow-up, but the big issue will become in the first time. So they can assess the financial assessment. All this, everybody can assess the things. So he can plan his remediation work. What we are facing here in the initially, but in the end, now with the RSC, we are in a very good way. But in the initial stage, so I suggest for the Pakistan, Accord should go in that way. The auditor keep one auditor in the same factory continuously in a, like I say, 80% or 90% of remediation can go continue. And the auditor should that much, they cover the, if he go or she go for the structure, he can cover the main things of the structure problem and assess and survey like this. This is one suggestion. And another challenge, I think, a small factory like me, they need obviously financial support, I think, but I need financial support from my side. I got it from my customers as a soft loan, and Accord also support me to final the big issues of hydrogen. And probably, and it was when Accord was out of Bangladesh, even that time also I got support from the Netherlands. So it is very interesting, and I'm really grateful to Accord to have a journey with me. And Pakistan also, another for this success, I can tell, need to more training, more attitude, mindset of change from the owner side first, and then periodically go to the inside the factories. So I think that was the main key point to success in the Pakistan, in my point of views. So thank you very much. If any questions, I'm ready to answer myself. Oh, even one point is that after platform of Accord, when Bangla Pushak is inside, my bank also trusted me because they are asking, you are in the under Accord. So they feel they are more safe to financing in my company. So that is, I think, a big success of Accord inclusion with the Bangla Pushak's inclusion with the Accord. That is the main point from my side. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mohammed. It was very, very interesting, and we are very happy to hear that your turnover has doubled over the years, and so that's a very good example of how the Accord can support the industry, not only in terms of ensuring worker safety, but also in terms of your commercial interest and ensuring that that you remain interesting for brands to source from, and actually can increase your relationships with various Accord brands. I saw that there was also a question in the chat about the financial support, and you are giving a couple of really clear examples of the type of financial support. Maybe helpful to mention that under the international accord, the brands have committed to negotiating commercial terms with their suppliers to ensure that it's financially feasible to remediate. And so with that commitment, that is often implemented through the various ways that you also mentioned, for example, soft loans, advance payments, longer term order commitments, higher order volumes. And that often, as you say, and I'm glad that you mentioned that, also helps in you getting further loans from the banks, who can see that you have healthy and sustainable and longer term relationships with the brands. And all that together can then help finance the remediation. So it's very good to hear that from you, and thank you for being on the panel. So with those two great contributions from the suppliers from Pakistan and Bangladesh, I would now like to turn to yet another very important group of partners in our exercise, which is the representatives from the brands in the country. So of course, those are the ones who work very closely with the factories and do a lot of the actual implementation together with the factories. And so I'm happy to introduce to you Bushra Batten, who is the Corporate Responsibility Manager at PVH. PVH is also a company that's on our steering committee, has been ever since the Accord started in 2013. A good maybe to also mention that Bushra can tap from her experience as a brand representative in Bangladesh, but also from her experience in her previous function working with the Bangladesh Accord at our liaison office in Dhaka on the OSH complaints mechanism. So Bushra brings a double experience, but of course she now represents PVH in Bangladesh. So Bushra, over to you, please.
Thank you so much, Joris. I hope I'm audible. And before I start, I would like to say sorry to everyone because of my voice. So it might interrupt, but it's not intentional. I'm sorry for that. So anyways, thanks for the great introduction, Joris. Yes, you all know I'm working with PVH at the moment, but Accord is something that is very close to my heart because I worked for that organization and I got a pleasure to serve for the industry. Because when I was working for the Accord, it was like I'm serving for the industry, the whole industry. So this was the pleasure. Okay, if I go back to the question that Joris asked at the beginning. So, I mean, Accord's a positive contribution. I mean, if I have to start it, it will take minimum, I mean, several hours to complete that, because I have seen, I mean, the both sides. Because when I was working with the code, that was the one side of the coin. Then again, when I started working with brands, that's the another side. Because when not being a code representative, when I talk to the factory, I get a different view. So definitely I have like so many things to share, but I mean, considering the time, I would like to highlight few, like that already been discussed by Christina and Masarat, that the overall change in the culture. Because I mean, when I first joined Accord back in 2016, I mean, fire safety, structural safety, occupational health and safety especially, these are like some fancy words. But now the industry has understand these are not something fancy. These are like the basic need for the industry. So the change in the culture, because say for example, I mean, back then, I mean, when we were interacting with the workers, I mean, they think like scolding or heating in the factory floor, this is something that they should expect in the factory floor. So this is not something wrong that they used to understand. But after this Accord, I mean, safety committee training, complaint, or different type of remediation activities, now they are understanding what are their basic needs, what they should expect, what they should, I mean, tolerate, when they should reject the unsafe work. So now they have started to understand this. So not only in terms of the workers mindset, I would like to I mean, highlight the change in terms of the management mindset as well. Because before, I mean, management, I mean, there was a change. I mean, once they started to work with the code, there was a change in their mindset, because then they started to understand, I mean, this is not only a profit generating, I should say, um, profit generating scope for me, but also I need to, if I want to I mean, if I want a sustainable development in my business, I have to invest something to make it more sustainable. And then they started to comply with the code requirement, and slowly, I mean, they started to understand the importance of a code and importance of remediation in different categories. So that's how it I mean, changed the culture of the whole industry. Also, as I said, I worked with the complaint mechanism unit, and I should highlight this, I mean, as one of the greatest positive contribution of Bangladesh Accord. Definitely fire safety, electrical safety, structural safety, or boiler safety, these are also important. But this occupational health and safety, this term was not even, I mean, introduced before, I mean, Accord came into this industry. So I mean, this is one of the greatest blessing, I should say, because I mean, when there were some issues or something, I mean, we used to see that there were unrest in the factory, but now they know how to, I mean, if they face any issue, now they know, yeah, there is a safety committee, I can go to the safety committee and talk to them to resolve that specific issue. If they see a crack, before it was like they started to unrest inside the factory or outside, saying there is a crack. But now they know they have a safety committee, they can easily go to the safety committee, and safety committee then maybe inform the management. Then that could be a simple non-structural crack, but a crack. So that's how it's helping. Because I mean, if unrest happen, that, I mean, definitely this is not good for workers as well, as especially for management, and also for brands as well. But when workers know they have some mechanism where they can go and they will get their resolution, so workers are using those mechanisms and getting some positive outcomes. So definitely I should I mean, highlight this as I mean, one of the positive contribution of Bangladesh Accord. Then another thing that was discussed by my colleagues before, like creating a positive brand image of Bangladesh in terms of safety. I would like to highlight that even in global forums, Bangladesh is being highlighted as the role model for the extensive remediation work that has been done in this industry to make the workplace more safer than any time before. From a buyer's perspective, I definitely understand that buyers were, even hesitant to place an order before because of this Rana Plaza or Tazrin incident, but now they are not, because they know all the factories. They are, all the factories under Accord, they are, working with all these specific sectors, fire safety, electrical safety, or structural safety. So this is, very important. Even from a PVH perspective, even when we onboard a new factory, the first thing we do, we review their RSC status. So that's the first thing we do. Once the factory meet the minimum requirement, we have a minimum requirement in terms of our status, then we go for other audits. So that's the minimum or the initial requirement to onboard a new factory. So how important this is. Then I would like to highlight one other point, that's the sustainable development in this industry. So I was referring back to the culture, the change in the culture. So the culture that Accord has created, it's not just for a month or for a year. This is a lifelong culture. So definitely, Bangladesh economy is kind of dependent on this RMG sector. So we need a sustainable development for this industry. So Accord is something that positively impacted this sustainable development of this industry, because mostly now buyers are not at all worrying about the safety, because Accord is taking that load. So this is definitely helpful. And on the other side, if I have to talk about the successful implementation of Pakistan Accord, at first I would like to highlight on the value that Accord will be adding, because mostly the brands, they don't have office in Pakistan. Mostly we are managing Pakistan factories from a different location. Even we are managing Pakistan factories from Bangladesh. So when we know that we have a representative over there to look after this fire, electrical, structural, or occupational health and safety, that will definitely give us a great relief and will maybe help us to take more strategic business decision regarding Pakistan factories. Because nowadays, when we get any sort of complaints or issue from Pakistan factories, then it's as we are managing it from a different location, then it's not easy for us to do all sort of investigation and everything. But when we know that Accord is there, they are looking after it. So definitely that will give us a kind of relief, not only for PVH, for I believe for all other brands as well. And if I have to give excuse me, some suggestion or recommendation to Accord for some successful implementation. First, I would like to say, like, proper communication or proper marketing that is needed, because why Accord is important. This is very important for the suppliers to understand, because brands are, I think, they are already aligned, or they will eventually come along. But for the suppliers, why it is important for them, they should study the Bangladesh Accord, the positive impacts that Accord made in Bangladesh. That's how we can show them, this is the thing. So communication is very important. And another thing, another suggestion I should give, that's the proper staffing, so that whenever they need any information or anything, there should be like proper staff or proper support center where brands can go, where factories can go. They can get all the information, all the support to manage the initial hiccups. So I think I have taken more than allocated time. Sorry for that. But as I said, Accord is something that is very close to my heart. I can stop talking when I start talking about Accord. So thanks, everyone. But if you have any follow-up question, I'm happy to answer.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot, Bushra. And it was very, very helpful and very good to hear your perspective as a brand representative in Bangladesh, working so closely with suppliers. And I was particularly pleased to hear that also from your perspective as a brand, the OSH complaints mechanism is helpful. Obviously, the OSH complaints mechanism is first and foremost for workers which have issues, and the Accord and now the RSC independently investigates them and seeks to find a resolution. But I was happy to hear that also from your perspective, you see it's beneficial for the brands and also for the factory management, because it gives an opportunity to resolve issues that otherwise could escalate and become even more problematic. So that was very interesting. So thank you very much, Bushra, and no issue with taking a bit of more time, because for those of you who have registered at an earlier stage, we've initially had a 1 hour slot allocated to us by the OECD. But with this great panel, we requested half an hour more. So hopefully the participants who are now participating have some more time to hear our final panelists, and also we can look at the questions in the chat and address some of them by the panelists and by ourselves. So with that, I would like to turn to our final panelist, Mr. Kashif Israr, who's the Country General Manager and Chief Market Officer at Eurocentra. Eurocentra is also part of the Wünsche Group, which is a German company who has also signed the Pakistan Accord. And Eurocentra is also working as an agent for other Accord brands. So a very important partner for us, and Kashif has been extremely helpful over the last couple of months in supporting the Accord's feasibility study work, getting us into contact with suppliers, inviting suppliers to meetings. And so, especially given what Bushra mentioned earlier, that many brands don't have their local offices in Pakistan, the agents and intermediaries will be very important partners for us in implementing the Accord in Pakistan. So Kashif, sorry, very happy to have you also on the panel, and we'll be very interested to hear from you what you see could be the added value of an Accord in Pakistan, and what would be the main factors for success, and also maybe some key challenges that you may see are there. I saw in the chat that there's a question from the Pakistan embassy, like what would be the main challenges. So also interested to hear your thoughts on that. Kashif, over to you.
Okay, thank you very much, Joris, and good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to be part of this panel. Thank you very much, Joris and Veronica, for arranging this extremely wonderful platform. I won't take too long because all of the panelists have already shared more or less the same idea, yeah, that about the Accord. In my very quick response, I would say Accord, or the initiatives like Accord, should have been much earlier in Pakistan. One of the major reasons is it's more about the health and safety of a human being. We always speak about being human, yeah, and then human being needs validity or the security from all the other external factors of challenging situations. So when we heard about Accord, we were very happy to have this wonderful initiative. So we represent here Wünsche Group, which is our parent company, and then we are representing Otto Group from Germany, Alcorte English from Spain, and Ernest's family from Germany. So I could see a lot of friends in the participants from our brands and also from our factories. So I think it is very important to understand the concept behind the Accord that Joris, Veronica, and all panelists have been exchanging over the years and over the time. I would quickly jump to the main question, like the second question, the impact, the challenges, what we are going to face. Because the first part is well known to everybody, that what is the importance of health and safety program, like Accord, to the country. Actually, during, like, for example, we are sitting in Pakistan, we have our offices in Karachi and in Lahore and in Faisalabad. So we are regularly interacting with all the suppliers and our business partners and the manufacturing associations. In Pakistan, sometimes, first of all, I have to explain it to our people that let's not call it a challenge. You know, our factories always, when they see the word challenge, because they are also coming from us, they are equally needed for us, like the buyers, like the suppliers. So this is very important balance. This is a mission, in my opinion, because whenever you are having a focus on developing something productive for the sake of the betterment of the society or working system. We call it really vision, and then we have to really take this mission not only for 1 year, like one of the panelists have said, and Mr. Sohail from Bangladesh also mentioned, that the important thing is to understand the integrity and the importance of this initiative. While I was discussing with our factories, so my personal opinion was, you all remember, for example, we faced COVID. Yeah, in 2020, we had COVID, the world was facing a new time. This acquired thing is also in the mind of people. They are just worried that they will not go for vaccination. We all were concerned when COVID came in. We were saying that we should not go for vaccination. What is going to happen and all these things. These kind of concerns, these kind of question marks, and some hidden fears are in the mind of our factories. I met some very reasonable people from the industry, from the management, some chairmen from different associations. So I would like to share my opinion with you all on this platform. And I also would like to give an open advice to all of my colleagues hearing me out. People were concerned that someday Accord will come and they will, bring the bulldozers and they destroy the factories, something like that. So it was just a perception, because sometimes when we are not sitting in the market, we are trying to hear the vibration of what happened before. And then we had very open discussion with these factories. There are always two types of factories. Number one, who is already considering the safety and security of their employees in the best manner possible. And I visited a lot of factories during the course of time, especially when Joris and Veronica, you came to Pakistan, you exchanged the information about Accord. To me, it was really reasonable. And then when I went to the factories with this agenda, I found a lot of factories in very nice shape. And I really gave a confidence to the factory that not every factory is going to have a new map or a new name. Factories like Tiger Apparel, I had a very good discussion with Mr. Imran Birger, who is the chairman of Tiger Apparel. The guy who is behind sustainability features and the visionary person. Same with a lot of panelists, a lot of people, participating people in our crowd. Idea is we should have a very open exchange of discussion, because there are some questions that people are getting the answers from non-reliable resources. Yeah, even I would say to all the participating brands and also to the factories, that when I went to factories and I asked them that what is your fear about Accord, what do you think what is going to happen, the answers were so different and so strange that some speculations, rumors, concerns, fear factors, which are not exactly happening a part of Accord. And Accord, according to them, to many people, was just going to come, and within a period of 6 months, 9 months, everything has to be, polished and rechanged. So this was also perception that it is a year-wise based idea where everybody has to contribute in the perpetual growth, not an instant growth. It has to be gradual, it has to be perpetual. And when I also visited this management committee from some associations, like for example, one of them is Aptema, then we have PHMA. Some of our suppliers are holding the senior position into these associations. So we had a very open conversation with these makers, the body behind the association, the main people. So they were having a fear that some of the factories are really in the good shape and some of the factories are not in the good shape. So everybody has to take everybody together like a team. So some people came here and they were saying that let's join together to, exactly like Mr. Sohail mentioned, it's more about the understanding and the mindset. Unfortunately, whenever there is a new thing coming up, sometimes 20% people would be very happy about it, but there are 20% who are not happy about it. So these are the challenges that every community brings up. So my advice will be to have an open collaboration with especially the owners from the factories or the main management people, like right now Usman is here. So a lot of the key decision makers, because first of all, their understanding is important. Because when I discussed with them, I totally have an idea that perhaps there's a huge gap of understanding between the people who join our conferences and then who have to invest money on it. Yeah. Even one interesting fact, because I was actually trying to take it very serious, the Accord thing and how it is going to make our suppliers happy and how our suppliers are going to sign, be a part of it, because we are working with 150 suppliers in Pakistan. And now we are going to initiate our countrywide campaign to give an understanding to all the suppliers about the accord and the possible merits and possibilities and opportunities they are going to have. One of our suppliers exactly doing around 7 or 8 million business with for only for us, one factory. They were saying that he has to do a lot of investment, and he just brought me a bill randomly. He just got an evaluation from a third party, and I don't know, maybe some of his friends from Bangladesh Accord might have given him the guidance, and he was ready to prepare to buy some stuff. We told him that first of all, you get your premises inspected and evaluated by the engineers. Before accord comes, you don't need to go forward. Otherwise, you're wasting money. And second thing, he was saying that I've got such a huge bill and I don't know what to do. I know the factory has a very strong financial power. Then at the end, when we calculated even for our business, although this factory is working for other brands, 3 cents per piece. Can you imagine? This is just nothing. The cost when you are converting it. And then factory got this idea, because sometimes we are just talking about some concept which is really we don't want to accept. So my open and fair and very quick analysis, because I also don't want to consume more time, I welcome all the questions from the participants. I think open dialogues should be there. If there is any questions, it should be strictly questioned, and then there should be some seminars like this right now where people should be given a fair opportunity to exchange the views, because accord is going to bring them help and support at the end rather than what they are thinking. So that's all from my side. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, Kashif. That's extremely helpful and very good suggestions. Maybe just to add to that we have indeed already been engaging quite extensively with the various industry associations, but also with a lot of the suppliers. You have helped us invite some of the suppliers that you are working with. And when we were in Pakistan early January, we had a meeting whereby the brands invited some of the key brands invited their suppliers to a meeting in Karachi and then later on also in Lahore. And that was very helpful. And we are intending to continue to hold these kind of meetings, as you suggest, to continue to engage with the suppliers, to keep them updated, and also to take away some of the as you rightly say, misperceptions or confusions about what the accord is or what the accord can bring and what benefits there are. And also, as you mentioned, the costs associated with it, because I think what you raise a very valid point that of course, we realize that there are significant investments needed in some of the factories. But as you say, some of the factories have already done a lot of work as well. So there where that has been done, of course, that's great. And then we can verify that that's been done according to the standards. And that's then those factories don't have to reinvest or redo the work. But one thing that I picked up on what you said, and I think that's an important message for the suppliers, that if they are now looking into doing remediation work, then we would suggest to hold off until the accord has done an initial inspection and developed the corrective action plan, because it would be a real shame if the factories now start making investments that they then have to change because it is not exactly in accordance with the standard. So that's a very good advice that you're giving to your suppliers. Doesn't mean, of course, that immediate items like making sure that the exits are free of fire load or storage, those should always be addressed so that there's no risk for workers if there is they need to evacuate the factory. But major remediation works, it's better to hold off on that until the accord has advised, because otherwise it may be a double investment. The other point that you were mentioning, I think is also very important about looking at what are the investments if you look at it from a longer term perspective. So of course it is a large amount of money to invest, but it really should be seen as an investment rather than as a cost. And if you then calculate how much that would actually be in terms of extra cost per product, it's actually often not that much. And you were mentioning 3 cents or something like that, right? So, I mean, those are, I think, important conversations to have with the suppliers. And we are intending to hold at least online webinars in the coming months to continue to engage. And I also know that the Accord Steering Committee brands and other brands are also actively seeking to engage with key suppliers to express their support and to take away any concerns or misperceptions about the Accord in Pakistan. So those were all very valuable contributions. Thank you very much for all of you to participate in this panel. We still have a couple of minutes left, about 13 minutes. So maybe we can have a look at some of the questions that were posted in the chat. I see that if I just go to one of the first questions that were posed, what are the key challenges faced in the implementation of the Accord in Bangladesh? Well, I think many of you, of the panelists, have already alluded to that and have mentioned some of the key challenges and how we are now planning to address that. I see a question from Enes on the recommendation about the financial support. I think we've already discussed that too, that there are various ways in which brands fulfill their commitment to negotiate commercial terms to make it financially feasible. And as we said, there are also other ways for factories to seek financial support, for example, from international finance donors. And like Bangla Poshak is an example where the Accord had a fund available. So there are various ways in which the remediation can be financed, and those discussions, the Accord facilitates these kind of discussions where needed between factories and brands. I also see a question that from Rafat Arafin, who I know from his time at the Accord. One of the key challenges will be keeping the integrity of the audit, fake product, and proper understanding of issues by factory management. Absolutely true, and I know, Rafat, that you're speaking from experience as an Accord engineer. This is indeed, of course, extremely important, and we will make sure to take the necessary measures to safeguard that. And that also means that further training and awareness raising about what is the standard and what, for example, are materials that are acceptable, like, for example, certified materials that are UL listed, that should be imported or should be purchased by the factory management. I just wanted to check with the participants, with the panelists. Oh yeah, I see that Maserat has her hand up. So Maserat, over to you, please.
Yeah, I thought it would be good, Joris. I know you summarized it quickly, but the challenge question is one that comes up all the time. And I think it would be really good to bring that up from different perspectives around what were the key challenges in Bangladesh. And I think we need to have very transparent and honest conversations in order to address people's concerns. So I'm happy to come in from my perspective, but I think everyone's perspective would be really good there. I think it was Sohail Bhai that alluded to this a little bit in terms of the challenges or the challenge that I want to start with. When the Accord started, this was a completely new exercise. And so although I wasn't directly involved in the Accord at that point, I do hear a lot from Bangladeshi suppliers that there were concerns around the consistency of the advice, of the requirements. You hear these nightmare stories of people importing these really expensive fire doors or, you know, technology, and then later to be told that actually this isn't meeting the standards. And then kind of having to do a U-turn and having to fix that. I think that was at the beginning. We're now 10 years on and have a much clearer sense of what the requirements are, what the equipment should be, what, you know, all these different things. But that is certainly something that I've consistently heard Bangladeshi industry talk a lot about. But I do think we will have a completely different way of addressing that in Pakistan. But I did want to kind of mention that. I think another challenge is definitely the investment. and making the scale of investment. Again, here, I just want to highlight the difference between Pakistan factories and Bangladesh factories. As you know, Bangladesh is one of the most densely populated countries in the world. Pakistan, I think, has a landmass of about 6 times that of Bangladesh. And so factories have been built differently in Pakistan than they were in Bangladesh. So the number of multi-factory, multi-floor factories that we had in Bangladesh, my understanding is that Pakistan is completely different. So from a building safety perspective, the challenges will probably be different than they were in Bangladesh. But the investment is certainly something that comes up. We had expected that factories would need more loans. You know, there were organizations like the IFC and the ADB that came up with different financing facilities. But in reality, those were very underutilized. But, you know, we've had lots of conversations with Joris and Veronique and others talking about the fact that how do we address this financing piece in Pakistan? And hopefully, you know, we will be able to come up with new and innovative ways of doing it, you know, whether that's the government having some soft loans in coordination with the IFCs or the ADBs or whoever else in the world that's out there. The financing piece is definitely something that needs to be addressed. And then finally, I just wanted to make one last point that we're struggling with in Bangladesh, even now, 10 years on, which is the sustainability of the financing model and who pays, how do you pay, how do you structure it? I mean, we've come up with an agreement with the industry around how that will happen, but in reality, it's been quite difficult to implement. And so just keeping this in mind from the beginning, I think would be useful so that we can do things a bit faster than we did there. Thanks, Joris.
Thanks a lot, Masarat. And I see a comment in the chat from the Pakistan embassy mentioning that it's good that you mentioned the issue of the fire doors, because this is apparently also a fear that is circulating in the industry in Pakistan at the moment, and that better communication is necessary to allay such fears. So that's very much noted, and thank you to the Pakistan embassy for making that comment. Definitely is something that we will need to be working on. Oh, and I see that my colleague Christina is also thanking them. Sorry, Veronique, and now over to Christina, who raised her hand.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that one of the initial challenges around the Bangladesh Accord was the role that the brands played, because I think one of the key things that makes this agreement different than other agreements is that the trade unions, Industrial Global Union and Uni Global Union, we have the authority, the agreement that we would monitor how the brands are implementing the commitments that they've made in the agreement. So I think in the beginning, that was an adjustment for the brands to work on that. And I think that's, I think for going forward in Pakistan, we don't have that issue because we've had this, 8 years of working together. And, when you sign the agreement that it's not a voluntary, you're going to fulfill the obligations in the agreement. So I think that I could highlight as a challenge in the beginning in Bangladesh, but I don't see that as a challenge going forward in Pakistan.
Thanks very much, Christina. We are getting close to the end of our session, so I would like to just ask the other panelists if they have anything to add, having heard your fellow panelists or having seen some of the questions in the chat. If there's anything that you want to add as a final remark. So let me just turn to Usman. Is there anything that you would like to share at this point still? You're on mute. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Well, as cited that the building structure in Pakistan is different. So that's a very valid point. Most of the buildings are not very vertical and the horizontal. So that would be an added, advantage. Otherwise, the most important thing I would like to highlight is that safety is a kind of a mindset or culture. So like 60% is covered by this, and then there is some investment required. So if you exactly know what needs to be done, I think it's easy to handle and cover everything. So it's more about the mindset of the management and the workers, which we have to develop through trainings, and obviously a prerequisite of all the equipments, to be there as a hardware.
Thanks very much, Usman. That's very helpful. And Mohammed, do you have anything to add, hearing your fellow panelists or from the chat, or any other final thoughts that you would like to share?
Yes, I think regarding funding, there should be, the brand should come out with a supplier, like give a 5 years confirmation of business, like commercially, and this is one part of things. And you can work with the associations, all the parties. So for the small factories, I think so they need finances more themselves. It's difficult to finance the whole thing. So some way, find out something with a soft loan or some funding anyway. And one thing is mostly very important, to change, the mindset and fairness. Whatever you have to change the fairness. So in Pakistan, if all coordinately come out, so it's easy, I think more easy than Bangladesh, I think so.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Mohammed, for those final comments. Bushra, do you have anything to add? I see we have 2 minutes left, so...
I'll just take 1 minute. One quick challenge I should highlight, that about taking time. Usually when we apply for, when factories apply for a testing commissioning date, or when they need a audit schedule, it takes longer in accord than usual. And also in terms of brand perspective, accord used to take a longer time to resolve a complaint. I know it needs a lot of background work, but still accord should work on how to make these systems like more smooth. How to resolve a complaint within a small amount of time, or a less amount of time, or how to give like remediation audit schedule. When the factory is asking for a schedule, how to better accommodate them with the latest or earliest schedule.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good point to keep that in mind. Thanks, Bushra. And then maybe Kashif, do you have anything as a final remark?
Yeah, I'll just say quickly that in Pakistan, the situation is changing, because everybody knows that the business always needs a backup of finance circularity. Yeah. So first thing is, the banks are giving a very special markup-based soft loans, like the panelists have mentioned. So now it's up to the suppliers who want to go for the markup loans, because this is going to facilitate them. Even people recognize that after having an accord agreement, they will get more opportunities to have more turnover of business. Yeah. Second thing is, all the brands, maybe it's just a recommendation, like we are working with our business partners and our suppliers. Our payment terms are really trying to help the suppliers to have a better circularity of finance. If there is anything payments like a longer period of time, this really hits the supplier, even if he wants to have a commitment for 10 years or 5 years, but if it's payment recovery versus the expenses made, there is a big long gap. We should shorten the gap. So this is just a recommendation.
Yeah, good point. Well, thanks everyone very much for your contributions. I think it was an extremely good panel with such a diverse range of perspectives. We were really proud to have representatives from Pakistan and from Bangladesh, from the supplier side, as well as from the buyer and agent side, and then also the representatives from our steering committee. Christina, I see that Masarat has left, and I see also Bushra is leaving, so I will keep it short, but thank you very much for participating. Thank you all the participants for joining this session. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us. And for those of you who have put questions or comments in the chat that we weren't able to address at this point, we will come back to you. And with that, I would like to close and hope to see you soon. Thank you very much.